Okay, JB, we're looking at this 38 Zephyr. It's obviously, there's been more progress, but let's talk about what's happening and specifically what Mark's putting together here.
The taillight housings on the Zephyrs, almost all of them are rusted or not in very good shape in one form or another.
Right.
So what we did was we took a good one, we made a mold off of it, and now we make composite versions of them. So obviously they're not going to rust. The screws that are used to anchor through the fiberglass to the body create the ground if you need a ground.
Okay.
And of course this taillight, if you notice, looks just exactly like an original, except if you turn it around, you can see it's made out of fiberglass.
Right. Okay.
Much higher quality. This car is going to the East Coast, so with a lot of humidity, a lot of water.
Yeah.
That's what the disc brakes are about. That's what replacing certain elements with fiberglass really help, because it's not subject to corrosion. And we're going to put new sockets in here. If you notice, we are using a later style, which we have configured to fit into the hole of the fiberglass. So now he's going to put it on. They're really indistinguishable from original. Yeah. Especially when you put this on. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. You got the lens and the trim.
These have been restored.
Okay.
These are really high quality. A lot of work goes into making these. They're very thin and very delicate.
Yeah.
They tear really easily and they get bent up really easily.
Yeah.
So you can see what happens once the lens is placed on. Then this is going to cover the whole thing. You really won't be aware. The lens is also a reproduction of ours, so that it's much more rugged, made out of a UV resistant polymer, so it'll last 20, 30 years.
I got you. I think on the last video,
the welting had not been put on.
Yeah, they were just in the middle of starting that.
Yeah, you can see how much better that looks. Even if you have a tiny gap between the fender and the body, it's going to jump out at you. And these fenders are round, the body's round.
Right.
The likelihood that something's not going to fit perfectly is really great.
Right.
So when you use welting, you pull that together. Now you've got this seamless kind of connection between the fender and the body.
Well, it actually picks up the right line because of the way it...
Well, exactly. And also we didn't use some contrasting color because we want to flow together. We don't want some big black line there or a white line.
Sure.
We want it to be maroon, and fortunately we were able to find some maroon piping for it.
Yeah, now if we walk around to the other side, obviously one fender's on, this fender's not on yet, but we can see the filler is getting ready to be fitted, apparently.
Exactly. Well, you notice too that we've completed the dual exhaust.
Right.
This view that you have right here will disappear as soon as the fender's put on, so before we did that we wanted to get a look at it. But it's very complex, it's in a very condensed area. Yeah. And this car, of course, didn't come with duals.
No, it did not.
So we had to re-engineer that whole thing in order to have the duals, because it just is really essential, I think, to the look of this car.
Now you can see, I mean, from this angle where you don't really notice the fender being missing, seeing those two chrome tips sticking out the back look amazing.
And remember the bumper's going to come out about right here.
Well, that's right.
So it's going to be really, the idea is to have it just about flush with the back of the bumper. We don't want it sticking out. We don't want it in.
Right.
So all that has to be planned and coordinated and done. And that's, if you do a number of them, you remember to do it.
Yeah.
If you don't, you don't. And unfortunately, you stand back and when you're done and you say, I wish I'd have done that. We've done a number of cars, and we're really very conscious about how a car looks, how the stance of the car.
Sure.
Because the utility of the car is one thing, but the beauty of it's another. And if you complement these cars, these are works of art. They're not automobiles.
Yeah.
Anybody that looks at this and doesn't see it is not really looking at it very closely.
Right.
So we have to do it homage, and we have to respect what the original designer did, and not try to compete with it. But to complement it with some very subtle changes, and they're very few, and they're all very subtle.
Well, let's see. I noticed that there's now, I don't think last time I saw this that there was glass in the doors or on the windshield either.
No, we're at the point now where we're trying to outfit the glass, the runners, the crank up,
Yep.
Unable to find a lock set, so we're going to use a modern lock set on the outside of the passenger door.
Okay.
And all of this stuff, for instance, this had to be manufactured. This car did not have it when it came in here, so we're down to the point where now the door panels want to go in. The trimmer's saying I do not want to put those door panels on more than one time.
Right.
So that means that all of these things have to be worked out. The handles have to work properly.
Right.
The door shuts. You have to open it with a slight amount of tension. The windows have to go up and down.
Right.
We've got armrests. We got a door stop that keeps the door from flying open.
Oh, right.
We've got these, and we got locks to consider, and chrome.
Right.
It's easily the most complicated part of the car, except for the engine. But a door it's nothing for a door to take a week per door, if you can imagine. And the guy's working; he's not just standing around looking at it.
Oh no, that's right.
There's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of relationships here. When this door shuts, it has to meet the body uniformly around. That's not that easy.
No, that's
break an egg and then put the pieces back together. You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So that's a lot of relationships that have to be attended to, and then the trimmer has made the door panels for it, but he's not going to put them on until he sees all this stuff in place.
Right.
And he told us in no uncertain terms, he's not putting this on 2 or 3 times.
Right. Right.
You know, and we need to understand and abide by his wishes because he is the trimmer.
Yeah.
And people don't understand the importance of trimmers, don't know much, because they are just like the paint, they are part of the final look.
Sure.
So you have to give them what they want in order for them to get what you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
So
what else? Is there anything else that you want to mention that's been going on?
No, I think those are the biggies. The doors have been a lot of work. We're putting the rear glass in because the headliner is going to have to be done.
Windshield wiper motors and all that.
Right.
To
we did some work on we discovered on the 39 that we have that the chokes needed to be changed a bit because that one sat for quite a while and it was difficult to start.
Okay.
When we adjusted you remember we went from 1 carburetor to 3.
Yeah.
So we got to treat each one of those 3 carburetors with a certain amount of love.
Yeah. In
order for the car to start and run, start and run, start and run. That's what a choke is all about.
Sure. Yeah.
If you haven't driven it in a while, then in order for it to start and run when you're ready for it.
Yeah, you got to have these linkages all.
Exactly. There's a lot of things going on there, as you noticed. Mm-hmm. None of it is unimportant.
Right.
That's a double negative. How about it? Let's just say it's all important.
And I see a new windshield there. That's cool.
Exactly. And we had to get now this one we got the very last, if I'm not mistaken, 1-piece windshield trim.
Really?
Yeah. I think we have one more, if I'm not mistaken.
You know, we're talking about trim. Is something that your eye looks right past, right? Is the trim?
The trim
on the glass.
Yeah, on the rubber.
Yeah.
This is either made in one big piece and butted, or at the factory we were able to get them to actually butt them at the factory. So.
Oh, nice.
Either one works.
Yeah.
It's just that it's a little bit better, and they've since then ceased to do it. I think it's just too much trouble for them.
Very good.
So
this is a good update. I know there's a lot of things to come together, but at the same time, I realize that there's a lot in the queue just kind of ready.
And it's my job to get this stuff a little bit ahead of time, so he's not waiting around for it. Like I'm going to order new rear glasses for the back window, and that's going to take a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You know, nothing takes a couple of days anymore.
Now, the '63 Corvette, were they copying this car?
You think? This may very well be the first split window car on the planet.
That's interesting.
I couldn't swear that. I'd have to go back and do some research, but be really close.
Yeah.
And the other question is, how well was it done, and is it appropriate?
Yeah.
You know, the '63 Corvette that Brock did is a masterpiece. I mean, we had a '62 in here, and you see the elements of it.
Yeah.
And then it really, gets to the absolute finish line when they do the Stingray. But
right.
Obviously, this happened a long time before the Corvettes were done, and there were other cars that had it, but I believe this might be one of the very first.
No, I can't picture a 37 Zephyr. Did it have a split back window?
37 has a split window as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a trademark of the Zephyrs.
Okay. I did not know that for sure.
Yeah.
So
makes it a very complicated window, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because of the fitment and
yeah,
everything's got to be, like I said, with this thing has its own rear glass.
Yeah.
A standard knockout of the rear glass doesn't work, and that's very common in a lot of cars.
Sure. Okay.
These are hand built cars from the factory. These are not production cars.
So the fact that you're hand building it,
we're just hand building it again. Yeah. And with a lot of challenges they didn't have, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's really great, JB.
Yep.
Thanks for giving us an update on this car.
Yeah,
it's
we're really
cool.
making some headway. And the old saw is the last 5% always takes about 20% of the time. So, yeah,
Right.
we try to order ahead everything, get the plating all done. We have the plating all ready to go back on it. But there's just never, ever, you can ever anticipate all the problems. So one of the things that came up, this is the side trim. This is on the, this is on the 9. I think it's different. But we had to actually create the little pins.
Oh my goodness.
And there's a million of them. Okay.
Wow.
When he asked me to make it, we had to make them out of stainless steel. We had to grind them and fit them, and they had to slide in the chrome, and then they had to be just the right length. And I said, well, yeah, that's no problem.
Yeah.
On the 4th pass,
yeah,
we finally got it. But
yeah,
you know, some of the stuff just isn't out there anymore.
Yeah.
And even in a reproduction, they just don't make it. They never did make it for Zephyrs. It just doesn't exist. Never did.
Cool.
But we're getting there. It's starting to look like an automobile.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yep.
It's first time in a while I've seen it at this height too. It's usually been kind of up.
Yep. It's you never get tired of seeing these cars. I'm telling you.
No, it's really beautiful.
They're just breathtaking. They really are. Oh, and the medallions for it are being made.
Oh.
Out of stainless steel.
You're talking about for the side.
We have some surprises for the owner that are being made. We're not going to talk about those.
Okay.
But those are kind of like a tip of the hat.
So there's a little something right there.
Yeah, there's a Zephyr emblem that goes right there.
Gotcha.
The originals are cloisonné. They're not necessarily my favorite thing.
Okay.
So we're going to make them from scratch, and they'll actually be better than the original. I've had people tell me that.
Yeah.
You know, they're handmade and with a lot of care. So
yeah,
you know, anything production is going to be about 90% of what you wanted, not
right.
100.
Very cool.
Okay.
Well, it's good to keep
you
up.
Can see all the trims back
here.
on, the door trims on, the side trim, all these little pieces that we were talking about. You see you see the little tiny holes.
Yeah, I was noticing
very difficult to put it on there because they're very tiny trims.
Yeah, and they go in exactly the spot they go.
Exactly, but that makes that beautiful wing.
Yeah.
That makes the 38 stand out. See?
Yeah, yeah. That's a 38.
Rhymes. Did you notice that?
I
didn't do that.
That's good.
Okay.
Very
Anyway,
good.
this is without a doubt one of the most beautiful cars on the planet. And anybody wants to argue that, I'll give you my cell phone.
There will be an argument.
There will be an argument, of course. It's sad that there are so few of them. That you can't have more of them than there are. But that's true about a lot of really beautiful things.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so we're advancing on it. Like I said, the trim's done. We got to do the headliner, and then we'll do the trunk and all that when we get out of there with the lighting and all that.
You talking about trimming the trunk?
Yeah, we're gonna do. We trim the trunk just like we did the 39. It's very simple, but it cleans it up and makes it useful without being overly fussy. I hate trunks that have been over restored. You know, it's very common to get a little weird in the trunk area for some reason.
Yeah.
And it's not our habit to do that.
Very cool. Well, thanks, JD. It's
You bet.
really great.
Yep.